What is up, everybody? A few minutes late here, per usual, but that's par for the course. I apologize for that. Haven't done one of these live streams in a little bit, so I thought, it's time to bring them back, get them going again. I really like doing them. I just always kind of fall off for some reason, but we're back. I was supposed to go in and see Monkey Man tonight, but I honestly had too many nights in a row in the city with seeing Challengers last night, seeing Sasquatch Sunset tomorrow, which should be hysterical. I really have no idea what to expect out of that one. Um, and then I think I'm seeing Civil War on Monday, and there's something else coming up that I'm blanking on. But now we got some good stuff coming up. Luke Ponto is already in the house. My guy Luke, how we doing? Hope you're well as well. Luke's a great friend of the channel, always having me on his stream. Check him out if you haven't yet. But it's good to have you here, my dude. But yeah, we've got some cool stuff coming up. I've been seeing a lot of movies. Like I feel like at the start of the year, I was starting off slow. Now I've really thrown myself into the whole deep end here of this, seeing Ghostbusters, Roadhouse, Godzilla, Kong, Challengers all in the last like week or so. I don't know who this is, but hello. Good to have you here, Woods North. But I think we're finally out of that rut. Luckily, there were some bad movies that came out. It wasn't just January this year. January, February crept into March. I think we're now kind of approaching good movie season. Let's just say the last few ones I've seen are nearing closer and closer to the top of my list for 2024 so far. Can't really talk about Challengers yet, but I liked it. I didn't love it. I wanted to love it, but I liked it. Luke says he's doing a double feature on Friday for The First Omen and Monkey Man. Yeah, I definitely want to see Monkey Man. Like I said, I was supposed to see it tonight, but the weather near me is pretty crappy, and I didn't want to go into the city again for so many nights in a row. But definitely want to get around to seeing that because Dev Patel really seems like he's carving out his own path there, which is pretty cool to see. I'm definitely going to check out The First Omen. I really don't think I've seen like any of the Omen movies. I think I saw like the one crappy remake with like Liev Schreiber. I think he's the guy in it, but wasn't too insanely impressed with that one. But I know I need to go back and actually watch the OG. The same thing with The Exorcist last year. That sequel was abysmal, if you can even call it that. But the original's a classic. So I definitely have to check out the first Omen. I guess that's what we're gonna start calling it now. But yeah, I was struck earlier thinking about some ideas for the Monsterverse going forward. And I liked Godzilla, Kong, the New Empire. I didn't love it. If you saw my ranking of the Monsterverse, it kind of was towards the bottom tail end of the franchise for me, but still enjoyable. I pretty much like all of those movies except for King of the Monsters, which a lot of people seem to really like. So, don't judge me for that one. But I think if they want to keep this thing going, which they're gonna, because that opening for Godzilla Kong the New Empire was already the biggest opening for the franchise yet, I believe, if that's correct. Even though I like the goofiness, I like the silliness, I really think that they should consider, doing some of the like 2014 Gareth Edwards stuff a little bit in the sense of bringing back some more grounded and realistic material. I know we can't get too grounded when we're talking about a lizard and a monkey the size of a skyscraper, but I think that there's something to be said about if they're trying to make this big shared universe, which it seems that they are, and it seems like it's pretty profitable. I think I saw something that had said I think the entire franchise as a whole has crossed $2 billion, which is obviously nothing to scoff at. But I want to see it go off into two tangents, right? I want to see the goofiness continue with like what we got in The Last Empire. but then I want to see more of that Skull Island. I want to see more of that Godzilla 2014. And I think that they can pull that off. One thing, even though, like I said, the new Empire might be the most ridiculous and, for lack of a better word, silly and outlandish entry yet, and I don't mean that as a bad thing. Um, but I was super impressed with the level of visual storytelling it did. I mean, there were chunks in that movie where there were scenes where maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes go by without a single word of dialogue. It's just Kong and Scar King talking. And it's like, through the body language and the grunts and groans and everything, you knew exactly what was happening. I mean, they were throwing the gauntlet down, so to speak, but you were there for all of it. At least I was. I want to see a movie in the MonsterVerse that is completely without human characters. I really think they can pull it off. After seeing that, I didn't think they could. It's possible that it would get stale after a little while, but I think you got to try new things. I think it would be really cool to see them pull that off. And I'm hoping they do it. Do you condone me driving while watching this stream? That's a tough one. Depends who asks. For any future sponsors out there, if there are any, no. But that's one piece of news I wanted to talk about. The other piece of news that kind of just came in recently is they're making a new Matrix movie. I don't know how I feel about that one. I very publicly have said that I do not enjoy that fourth entry. And I'd probably go as far as saying that the first Matrix movie is the only one that should actually have been made. I don't know if that's a hot take or not at this point, but it's the truth. The first one was revolutionary. Next two didn't really have the juice. The fourth one kind of left me speechless with the tangents it went down and how overly meta it was. But we're finally getting a new director attached to it. So, if they're trying to start this kind of new stories within the Matrix, I get it. I can kind of see where they're going. I don't know. I mean, look, I see everything in theaters. I'm probably going to see it the day it comes out, but I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to label it as one that it's a day one watch. But it'll be interesting to see where it goes. T's in the house. What's up, T? Good to see you here, man. Thanks for joining. New Matrix movie. I really loved Matrix Reloaded. Did they make one after that? T, I don't want to be the one to break it to you if you don't know that there's a new one that came out a couple years ago. But if you're doing a bit that you have completely gotten rid of it out of your memory, then I respect that, because I wish that I forgot that it existed as well. I don't even remember what it's called. Matrix, is it Revolution? Matrix Resurrections. That's what it is. Matrix Resurrections. But yeah, not one that I'm really looking forward to. Are you excited for Maxine? Dude, Maxine is definitely, it's been in my top 10 most anticipated of the year. I think I made a video in January, just kind of listing through what I'm really looking forward to. I can't remember what spot that took, but that was definitely one that I'm looking forward to. I can't wait for that. I loved X. I liked Pearl more for I understand the, how impressive it was that Mia Goth kind of lost herself into that Pearl role. That was pretty cool to see, but I'm an X guy through and through. But yes, I'm very much looking forward to Maxine. I'm very happy they're letting Ty West kind of finish out this trilogy that he made in no time at all. He did it all in a year and a half. Speaking of The Matrix, which movie or franchise do you think needs a sequel? This is probably going to be a boring answer. I feel like people say this a lot. I really would not hate if they gave us a Dredd sequel. I love Carl Urban. I love sci-fi. Not so much the Stallone original, but I really think they found a way to improve upon the source material with that new Carl Urban movie. I think that would be an awesome pick for a sequel. Don't think it's ever going to happen. I mean, I was gonna say Carl Urban's probably too old for it now, but then again, he is playing like who's he playing in the new Mortal Kombat movie? He's playing Johnny, right? Johnny Cage, which I thought he was too old for that too, and he's doing that. So maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully, we can see him in a Dread sequel. Didn't enjoy the Doogie Howser Matrix movie. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good way of putting it. I mean, another thing I was thinking about T is that like what's really funny about them even making another one in this franchise is if you remember, there were endless monologues in Matrix Resurrections about how franchises need to stop just like milking franchises dry and making sequels, reboots, requels, whatever, just for the act of making them. And then it's just like, you'd think if they were going to stick to their guns at all or believed any of what the movie was saying, that they wouldn't greenlight another one. But here we are. Money talks, I guess. I actually don't even know. I actually have no idea if The Matrix Resurrections did that well at the box office. I actually don't remember. I saw it opening night and was not too happy about it. Haven't gotten around to see Pearl, but I really did love X. Yeah, I mean, I think you should see Pearl just because of the completionist in me. You know, I think you gotta before you check out Maxine in a couple months or whenever it is. But Pearl's good. X is great. That's kind of where I feel. Dread is so underrated. Yeah, Dread is so underrated. I absolutely love it. That's a sci-fi movie. Like the two sci-fi movies that I don't think get enough credit that I really love are like Dread and Upgrade. Both of them, you could give me a sequel for. Upgrade, the story kind of ends. You know, you don't need a continuation of that story, but both of those are super underrated sci-fi movies that I absolutely loved and would love to see more of, or just in that world. What's your favorite gore fest movie? I mean, I think if we're talking like retro, like kind of going back a few decades, my favorite horror movie of all time is The Thing. I know some people kind of by today's standards wouldn't see that as gory, you know, kind of compared to the Terrifiers that we've gotten in the past couple of years. But from a classic perspective, I mean, all the practical effects, the blood and the gore, the guts, everything. I think that's a great example of kind of gore fest movie done right and done stylishly. You can't really go wrong with The Thing. If I was going to say a more recent pick, I'm going to pick that French movie Raw. I think the director's name is Julia Ducournau or something like that. She made, oh my God, I'm blanking now. The movie where the girl falls in love with the car, Titane. She made Titane a couple years later. I can't wait to see her make another movie, but Raw by her in like 2017, I think it was. Gore fest, but that is an unbelievable horror movie. Highly suggest if you haven't checked it out. Do I think Keanu Reeves will return? I mean, whether I think he will versus will I hope he will are two different questions. I hope he does not, because I think if he doesn't, then I'll kind of have my expectations set at the door, being like, all right, even Keanu's not coming back for this one. Like I'm gonna pump the brakes. It's probably not going to be anything too insanely special. If he does return, I'll be more excited. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't really want more movies in this franchise, even though I think if we could go all the way back to like 1999, the original comes out, if they just left it at that, never did another one, I think there are other cool stories that could have been explored in that world later on. But given the state of it now with the, three movies branched off of the first one that aren't very good, I don't know what to think there. Do I think Romulus course corrects the Alien franchise like Prey did for Predator? This is a great question because I am obsessed with talking about the Alien franchise. I think I've finally admitted to myself that it's my favorite horror property, maybe even one of my favorite franchises ever. And I love Ridley Scott, and I really enjoy all the movies other than really Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. I'm kind of like a Prometheus and Covenant truther or apologist, defender, however you want to label it. But when it comes to course correcting, if you mean will people become interested in it again and kind of be like jazzed up about it. I think that it will. Um, I don't know how much it's going to do to explain more of what's going on in the greater scheme of things, in the kind of overarching universe that we have in front of us. Because I know Ridley Scott took a lot of swings when it came to, like the creators that are in Prometheus, and a lot of stuff that he did with like David and artificial intelligence kind of learning on its own. Um, I think I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure none of that stuff will be touched upon because I can't remember. Romulus either takes place after the original Alien or after Aliens. I can't remember, but since it's so early on in the timeline, obviously it's not going to touch on it. I mean, I don't know. I guess in Prometheus, the creator guys technically are from the past. Like they created the xenomorph and everything like that. So I guess who knows? Maybe they do pop up. But I think Fede Alvarez is so good at creating these little like tiny torture room thrillers. I mean, like you look at the Evil Dead 2013. That's my favorite Evil Dead movie, which I don't know if that's a hot take, but um, he was so good at creating like this little like haunted house environment and adding on to the mythos of the original. I thought that was really cool. So if there's anyone that's gonna bring back this close quarters, isolated feeling to the Alien franchise, I am super happy that he's the guy directing this. So we will see. I hope there's a course correct and people get more jazzed up about it because I would love to see more good Alien movies in the franchise because I love that franchise. What genre is your favorite and why? Oh, that is so tough. Honestly, it changes by the day. I will say, as of recently, I've been back onto my like 90s, early 2000s action movie grind a little bit. Like a lot of Jason Statham, Transporter, Crank, Death Race, that kind of stuff, just because it's like fun to watch. It's just total pulpy popcorn movie material. Always been a fan of that kind of stuff. Um, I will say, I think my one true love, if you'll indulge me, is probably the adventure movie. I mean, you can kind of see it in the back over there. My favorite movie of all time will always be Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think that's a perfect movie for a lot of reasons, but it feels like a roller coaster ride. And I just think adventure movies are the easiest ones to buy into, and they're just so much fun. So I'll go with adventure. I just will say recently I've been digging a lot of action. Something about the xenomorph in Covenant were extremely satisfying to look at and hear. Yeah, and Ryan, I go a little bit back and forth on that, right? Because I feel like I feel like showing the xenomorph in the broad daylight kind of takes away some of the mystery and the creepiness of it. And Covenant did that a lot. But at the same time, we'd never really seen the xenomorph with state of the art CGI. So it was really cool getting the opportunity to see that. So I go back and forth. Like I'm with you. I think they sound and look really cool in that movie. But I also think giving us that took away from the mystique a little bit. But I still, I still, like I said, I still like Covenant a lot. So I think it's after Aliens. Okay. I mean, that gives them such a wide spectrum of time to play with. Um, and we already know that like the Queen exists after that too, or existed at some point. So it'll be cool to see kind of what they give us. That trailer or that teaser was already awesome. Not a hot take. It's a great remake reboot. Yeah, man. That 2013 Evil Dead movie, like I also love learning about that movie, specifically like the gallons and gallons of blood they used in that third act, and just love the little story changes they made to kind of follow the script of the original, but still make it its own. Like making her a detoxing drug addict, I think was such a cool perspective because she becomes an unreliable narrator at that point. You don't know whether to believe her or not when all this crazy stuff starts going, out the window. So what's the last great movie not named Dune 2 that you've seen? Please don't say New Empire. Um, well, let me go into my little letterbox diary here. Let's see what I'm working with here. Well, I mean, I will say this. If we're just talking about what I watched in general, I recently introduced somebody to Ridley Scott's The Last Duel in 2021. I think that that was a completely misunderstood epic, or I'll say underrated or undiscovered, because it kind of happened during the tail end of the pandemic. And I was basically in the theater by myself for like a big budget historical Ridley Scott epic, which shouldn't be the case. That should be a packed cinema. Um, and by the end of that movie, and the fight that happens in the end, I was almost standing in my chair. It was so intense, and I really think Ridley Scott is still flashing some brilliance from time to time. I mean, he'll do The Last Duel and he'll do The Martian, but then he'll also give you House of Gucci, and I completely forget the other one he made that wasn't that good. But yeah, so I think The Last Duel would probably be the last great movie I watched. If we're talking about recently, God, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I think this has kind of been a down year for cinema so far. Pretty sure the number two spot for me this year is still Lisa Frankenstein, which I really enjoy, but not like great, you know? What's the worst Disney live action remake? Probably that, what was it, like that Robert Zemeckis Pinocchio they came out with the same year that Guillermo del Toro's absolutely mopped the floor with it. I'd say probably that, but that's also probably a little bit of recency bias as well. Favorite cinema experience? I mean, again, I'm giving you a boring answer, but I really think Dune 2 might have given me that for the definitely in the last couple years. I mean, I got shivers down my spine during a couple of those scenes. I mean, that duel at the end and the first time Paul rides a sandworm is like that's worth the price of admission for IMAX by itself. So incredible. So I think that. Have you seen the movie Sometimes I Think About Dying starring Daisy Ridley? No, I actually have not. Um, I've been hearing some decent buzz about it. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to check it out and you recommend it, but I feel like I saw some guys logging that recently on Letterboxd, and I think everything looked decently favorable. Um, if it's a good movie, that makes me happy because I really think that Daisy Ridley should be given more opportunities outside of the Star Wars franchise. I mean, it feels like that's kind of been weighing her down, or she hasn't really had a ton of opportunities outside of that, which, between you and me, that's why she's going back to the Star Wars franchise, which I think that's a smart business move. I don't think that's a smart furthering your career move. But no, I've not seen the movie, but I've heard good things. I'm gonna watch Evil Dead 2013 tonight now. Yes, Ryan. This is what I love to hear. The newest one was not gory enough, and I'm annoyed because I faked an ID to sneak in because I was so keen for it. Yeah, I don't think that one was insanely gory. But I do think it kind of made up for it with that kind of isolation feel again, like kind of what I talked about with the Evil Dead 2013 and Fede Alvarez. What Lights Out or Don't Breathe? I can't remember which one of those, but yeah, he is really good at that kind of feeling of isolation. Um, I'm blanking on the guy's name that did Evil Dead Rise now. But I thought he did a solid job. Like you said, it wasn't the most gory of the franchise. I actually think that's 2013 or Evil Dead Part 2, um, but I do think it made up for it with some cool scenes with being stuck in that isolated apartment building. There's really not many places for you to run and hide. So I do like that aspect, but 2013 blows it out of the water for me personally. So can't wait to hear what you think about that one, because that is not only my favorite Evil Dead movie, that's got to be one of my favorite horror movies ever. I think that one rocks. So enjoy. You're in for a real treat if you haven't seen it. Favorite 2020s movie that brought nostalgic franchises back to life? Oh man, I don't know. I mean, like thinking about like if we're saying top of mind, not like this franchise went anywhere, but we were just talking about it. I mean, Godzilla minus one was my favorite movie of last year. Really wasn't expecting it to be. Really kind of knocked my socks off and made me feel a lot of things in the theater. I was kind of stunned by that whole experience. I actually would add that to that earlier question about favorite cinema experience of recent years too, just because I was pretty much alone seeing that too. I missed it right when it came out. They extended the US release and I was able to go see it, thank God, early January. Even though I saw it this year, I quickly threw it back and was like, oh man, that has to be my number one of 2023. So um, that was great. But yeah, I'd say maybe Godzilla. I don't know. Like I'm more interested in checking it out again. Um, yeah, and kind of diving. I really like I was talking about this on when I put out that ranking of the Monsterverse. I was actually talking about like for me, and I think this is why other people like King of the Monsters more than I do, is I don't have a ton of nostalgia around it. Like I've only really seen the original Godzilla, the 98 Matthew Broderick that one, Ronald Emmerich one, Godzilla minus one, and all the MonsterVerse movies. So I don't have that much of a crazy experience. Um, but but yeah, maybe Godzilla in my eyes. I recommend it. It's mundane and slow, but she's fantastic in it. Yeah, I will definitely. I think it's in my watch list for sure, so I'm gonna check it out. Favorite British horror movie? I don't even know. Hold on. Let me bring up like a list of stuff. I mean, like, does is like 28 Days Later? Is that a British horror movie? If 28 Days Later counts, then I'll probably go with that. Yes, okay, that is British post-apocalyptic horror film. Yeah, I'm going with that one. Don't Breathe was really great. Yeah, no, totally agree. That had an awesome isolation feel to it as well. Peter Frost is in the house. Hi there. Favorite vampire film? My top three are VHD, Bloodlust, The Lost Boys 1987, and Fright Night 1985. You took mine. I think Fright Night 1985 is probably mine. I just bought a T-shirt for it the other day because I love that movie. Um, I'd say Fright Night 1985 and kind of underrated. I know it's not the best, but I enjoy 30 Days of Night with Josh Hartnett. I think that was a cool little vampire movie as well. I mean, it's a cool concept, right? Like being in Alaska that month that has darkness. So it's a cool one. Without spoilers, does the 2013 one end as ridiculous as the new one? That whole monster thing was cool, but it completely dropped the horror feels. I didn't mind the ending of the new one, but without spoiling anything, it ends in much more traditional Evil Dead fashion. I think if that new ending was too outlandish for you, I don't think you'll have a problem with this one. The Ruby Tuesdays in the house. Look at that with a £2 super chat. Thank you so much, dude. You did not need to do that. Um, when am I seeing Monkey Man? So I actually said earlier, I should be seeing it currently, like right this second. I had so many movies lined up for this week that I just couldn't bring myself to go in, even though I've heard good things about it. It would just be too many days in the city in a row. I just didn't want to take the train that many days in a row to go to the movies. But I will be seeing it hopefully this weekend, maybe Sunday. I've got kind of a busy weekend, but I definitely want to check it out. I mean, I've heard some good things. I like Dev Patel. I like that he's kind of carving out this own path for himself. I think that's really cool and brave of him too, because if other people are telling him no, so he's like, all right, screw it, I'm gonna do it myself. I think that's cool. So we'll see. I don't know. I haven't seen if you've seen it yet. Gonna check out your review if you have, but if you haven't, I hope you enjoy it, and you gotta let me know what you think because you're probably at this rate gonna see it before I do. Unfortunately. Thank you again for the super chat. That was really kind. Evil Dead 2013 is better all around movie than Rise to include the ending. Yes, completely agree. I think. I mean, I'm not going to knock Rise at all though because I think it does something creative. It's kind of putting a spin on the franchise. Um, and at some point you got to stop remaking the old ones. So I understand what they were doing, and they kind of just had to go for like a little bit of a John Carpenter thing kind of vibe. But I'm looking forward to seeing them continue the franchise. I don't know what route they're gonna go, but are you a fan of new metal? If you are, who's your favorite new metal band? I mean, I don't know if like you're gonna have to educate me because I don't know if I don't know if this stuff classifies as new metal. I mean, back in the day, like I was a big like Linkin Park and Avenged Sevenfold guy, and I like went to a bunch of metal concerts like Slayer and Korn and all that. Obviously, that's kind of an OG metal vibe. I like that stuff a lot. I'd have to kind of look up if new metal has evolved at all. I don't know. I mean, I like Of Mice and Men and 3 Days Grace and that kind of stuff, um, but yeah, I mean, I'll list it as that. That might not have answered the question correctly at all. Oh, it makes me gross out. Dude, yeah, check it out. I think you will enjoy it. If Rise didn't do it for you, but you like the others in the Evil Dead franchise, I think you'll like it. I'm counting that as Italian, but obviously both the original and remake are pretty sick movies. 28 months later might bring back zombies in the proper fashion. No, I think that'd be great. I kind of miss a good zombie movie. I mean, it's one of those things where all these horror monsters, right? Like vampires, werewolves, zombies, they go out of style and in style again. So, kind of looking forward to seeing what, I mean, especially if they get Killian Murphy back. I don't remember if that's confirmed or not, but that would definitely be super high up on my list for my anticipated films. If that's the case. You deserve so many subs. You're as genuine as Johns and Stuckman. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate that. The movie space on YouTube's pretty crowded, but I would be doing this even if YouTube didn't exist, and probably be driving my fiance crazy because all I can do is talk about movies. So I'm glad you're along for the ride, and thanks for joining in on the community and the kind words. It's really nice of you. Chris from Film Stocked is in the house. What is going up, dude? I was supposed to see Monkey Man tonight as well, but would have had to head through about an hour of traffic and wasn't feeling it. Dude, you're speaking my language. Did you end up seeing Challengers? Yeah, I saw Challengers last night. I brought my fiance. We have been super excited for that movie for a while. I mean, ever since it was announced and then delayed and then kind of announced again with that new release date. I liked it. I didn't love it as much as I wanted to, but I did like it. Luca Guadagnino hasn't really missed for me yet. I think he's a really cool director, and he loves doing these kind of like pulpy, sexy movies that really only he's out there making. I feel like liked it, didn't love it, but glad it exists. Probably will end up watching it again at some point. But I'm glad you loved it. I think I remember you really dug it. No knock on Rise, but I think 2013 is a better film. Both are really great. Yeah, no, I mean, T, you're never gonna get any complaining out of me saying that 2013 is the better film. I think that's the best in the franchise. So pumped that you enjoy that one as much as I do. I think that's such a great horror movie. I feel that to London and back is 60 pounds and half a day's travel there and back. Love your reviews. Great work, dude. Dude, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate that, especially coming from you as an audience your size. I really appreciate you saying that. But yeah, dude, I think that's a part that gets lost with the like movie review sector of YouTube is like people forget, or like I forget sometimes, like people don't live right in the city all the time when they're going to see all these movies. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have a few theaters around me. I still need to take a train to get into the city or drive in, which can sometimes be a nightmare. But um, if a movie we do it for the love of the craft, I absolutely would rather spend a night watching a movie than not. So a lot of the times it evens out. Chris from Movies and Munchies is in here. What's going on, Chris? Thanks for coming in here. Hey, Sully, you're looking forward to Abigail. So I will say, I've been hearing the buzz about Abigail. I haven't really looked into it too much. Like, I don't even think I saw a full trailer for it. The cast has me intrigued. I got to pull that up again because if I'm remembering correctly, yeah, it has my boy Dan Stevens in it, and I love Dan Stevens. I think his movie The Guest, uh, what was that in like 2013 or something? That's a super underrated thriller. That's a great action movie. That's a great suspense movie. Got some good comedy. It still plays really well today. I think I saw it again like a year ago at this point. That movie rocks. But it's got an interesting cast. I mean, Angus Cloud, Melissa Barrera, Catherine Newton, Kevin Durand, all people that have been around for a little bit. Giancarlo Esposito. I don't know how I could forget him, but Yeah, that's coming out in a couple weeks. I think that's vampire stuff too, right? It's like ballet vampire or something. That's at least what I got from the trailer, but definitely looking forward to that one. So, the fan of the music genre, who's your favorite rock band that were either formed or rose to prominence in the 2000s? Let me look this up. Famous rock bands from the 2000s. If they rose to prominence in the 2000s, I don't know. That's tough. I don't know. Maybe like I'm seeing like Audio Slave, which is a good one. Um, God, it's tough. Like all these ones I'm looking at are ones that I love, but they all joined up like with each other right before the 2000s. The Killers is a good one too, but I'm like a White Stripes guy, Red Hot Chili Peppers guy, Green Day, Blink 182, Foo Fighters, System of a Down, Queens of the Stone Age, but all of those were pre 2000. But I don't think I can help you there, unfortunately. Travis is in the house. What's going on, Travis? How's it going? Last great zombie movie for me was probably Train to Busan. Yeah, Train to Busan rocks. That is such an unrelenting zombie movie. And I actually think, kind of like going back to what we talked about earlier, like T mentioned, a movie that's going to bring back the zombie genre. Maybe it's 28 weeks later. Um, I think that Train to Busan is probably one of those rare movies that, like, even though zombies were kind of out and not cool anymore, that movie was so good that you just kind of had to drink the Kool-Aid on it. Um, yeah, Train to Busan rocks. I actually like that guy. I always forget his name, but I like that director's other movies too. Like he had that Netflix movie. What was it called, man? Not a lot of people liked it, but I liked it. Zhang Yi. It was kind of like a robot AI post-apocalyptic movie. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm actually watching. He has a version of what is it? He has a version of Parasite, which is like an anime, which is pretty nuts. He filmed the first episode. I've been watching that. It should be. I think that's coming out on Netflix in a couple days, but I'm liking that so far. I think it's cool. That guy's a cool director. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next. But Train to Busan rocks. Like, you're completely correct in that. Killian Murphy coming back, dude. I mean, that's skyrocketing up the most anticipated list. Pick for a moment from a sitcom that changed the entire course of the show. I don't know, but I remember How I Met Your Mother getting kind of bad towards the end there. I I don't remember what the exact moment was, but when they started like introduce the mom, which is too bad because I really like that actress, like Kristen Milotti or whatever. I just remember things kind of got jumbled up, and I don't remember it ending the way that I really wanted it to end. Favorite action movie from each decade? Oh my god. I mean, that's a tough question. This might have to be a video all in itself. This is actually a really good prompt for a video. I might have to do that. But I mean, the easy answer is like anything Arnold was in. The best Arnold movie from each decade until like the 90s, and then the best Statham movie until like, I don't know, the 2010s. And then, I don't know, Mad Max Fury Road. That's what I'll say. Abigail's going to be great, silly fun. I think it'll be this year's Megan. All right, well, T, I got to come clean to you. I don't remember if you saw this or just recollect this or not. I'm not a big Megan guy, unfortunately. I think that movie should have been full on rated R. Maybe I would have loved it a lot more, but I hope it's better than Megan. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Do a cartwheel. I don't even think I even have enough room to do a cartwheel back here. How about this? Once I get one of those fancy cameras you have that can like track my movement, I'll put it on here and I'll do a cartwheel. But until then, I don't think I can pull it off in this room, unfortunately. Challenger's been on my mind since the credits rolled. Really continues to grow on me. Glad you liked it. Yeah, I do think Luca Guadagnino does have that effect on me as well, like with a lot of his movies, where I could see myself liking it more as time passes. Like, I don't know if you checked it out, but that last movie he did with Timothy Chalamet and Mark Rylance, and Taylor Sullivan, Bones and All. That was one that I left the theater kind of like, okay. And then a couple days later, I was like thinking about it and just I enjoyed it a lot more. Um, so yeah, not surprised at all that that it's kind of growing on you more and more. I feel like for some reason Luca Guadagnino movies have that effect on me, so doesn't surprise me. Blue October Killers, Coldplay, Bowling for Soup. Always gotta love Bowling for Soup. 1985 is an absolute banger. Uniform before the 2000s. Oh, okay, then the ones I said applied. Then we're good. Thought this was an April Fool's joke, but Julia Garner is playing Silver Surfer in the new Fantastic Four film. I saw this like seconds before getting on this stream. I'm actually shocked that I haven't talked about it yet. Yeah, that's kind of crazy news. Um, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I will say I don't think I've never seen her in anything that I haven't liked her in. I mean, obviously, Ozark is her bread and butter. That isn't really the attitude she'll be bringing to the Silver Surfer, I don't think. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see. It definitely, it didn't diminish any of my interest. I'll put it that way. But that's definitely a casting I did not see coming. Have no problem. Hand up. Did not see that one coming. Train to Busan 2 Peninsula made me want to throw something at my TV. I actually didn't watch it. If you're saying because it's not that good, I heard it wasn't that good, so I didn't even watch it. I'm glad I didn't because I feel like it would detract from the original because I love the original Train to Busan. But yeah, did not hear that. Same thing with The Witch 2, the other ones. Hold on. Is this a sequel to the Robert Eggers The Witch? I'm praying it's something else because I do not want that movie to have a sequel at all. I hope that that's not the case, but absolutely love the Robert Eggers Witch movie. That's like one of my favorite horror movies ever. Praying that it just shares the same name. My hot take was Keegan Michael Key would have been a great Silver Surfer. Um, in a completely dialogueless role, maybe. He's got the height for it. He's got the frame. That's about it. Sorry, Keegan Michael Key. I love you, but not for that role. We got you hyped for Challengers. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a hype worthy movie. It's definitely like, I mean, it's one of those films, right? Where it's like Luca Guadagnino is always putting out original content. You have to respect whenever there's something that's not a sequel or a reboot or a requel or whatever. Um, just kind of championing original cinema. He does that so well. He always has a distinct perspective and way of filming scenes that surprises me. I think it'll be with if nothing else, you'll be super impressed with like the camera angles and stuff he uses during these tennis matches. I think it's unbelievable. Some of it you don't know how he pulled it off. But yeah, you should be hyped up. I think you'll enjoy it. Like I said, I didn't love it, but I like it. And just because I'm always trying to push original cinema, you should definitely go out and check it. When you start reviewing anime TV shows and movies, it kind of depends. Being at the stage I am in my YouTube career right now, it pays to, put out much more time sensitive new release stuff. So if I was doing that for like brand new anime TV shows and movies, maybe. I mean, I do watch a good deal of anime that I guess people don't really know because I never talk about it on the stream or like never post videos about it really. But like I'm finishing up, like I never really was exposed to it when I was a kid, but like I'm finishing up every single episode of the Dragon Ball franchise right now. I've got like 40 episodes left in Super. So I'm like 400 episodes deep right now. Watched all of Cowboy Bebop, Death Note. I need to get into One Piece because I really enjoyed the Netflix series. Trying to think, there's a couple more. Oh my god, love Chainsaw Man. I can't wait for a second season of that. That kind of blew me away. I'm not gonna lie. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe if the right thing, if the right project comes up at the right time, and it kind of seems like a big release, I'd probably have no problem kind of dipping my toe in the water there and seeing if it kind of warranted me doing more of that kind of content. Good question though. I mean, I'd be interested. Keegan Michael Key is a Silver Surfer. Is that's what this is in reference to? All right, you wouldn't be mad at it. All right. Be careful what you wish for, T. I'll just say that. His name is 10 Second Songs. Basically performs songs in styles of other musical artists. I think I might have heard of this guy. I'm going to write it down for later. 10 Second Songs. I'll check this guy out. Anthony Vincent, huh? Yeah, I'll give it a look. I'll put in my watch later. I appreciate the recommendation. No knock on Julia Garner, but this isn't the way to go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to reserve judgment. It's such an absolutely wild pick to me that I feel like I should assume they know what they're doing. I mean, I don't know. That could be completely off base of me to assume that, and kind of from what we've got in the past couple of years. But I would hope if they're making this crazy of a casting announcement that they kind of have a plan. It's a sequel to The Witch, The Subversion. It's a Korean action horror movie that is amazing. Okay, I'm writing this down too, because I have not even heard of this, which is super rare because you guys know I'm a horror fiend. The Witch, Subversion. Oh, it's a problem. Okay. Gonna have me in here for the long haul, T. I'm into it. Well, not great. I'd say Resident Evil Apocalypse, the one in Raccoon City, was a pretty underrated zombie movie. One of the better video game films. Is that the one that just came out like a year and a half, 2 years ago? Yeah, I mean, I didn't absolutely hate it. I think that there are some good scenes, and like I'm a total diehard Resident Evil game fan. I've played so many. I've played every single one they've remade because it's just irresistible. Like that shows that they were really ahead of their time, right? Because they're still so awesome today with better graphics. Like Resident Evil 4 is unmatched. It's really so good. But I even love Biohazard, the seventh one. I really think is like one of the best horror experiences I've ever had. And I'd love if they made that into a movie, even though it kind of goes off some Saw and some wrong turn tropes. I think that one absolutely rocks. I'd love to see that adapted. But yeah, the Raccoon City movie I thought was fine. I didn't hate it. I feel like some people hated it. I didn't hate it. You see the Madam Web concept art that just came out with Tom Holland. Yeah, I gotta look this up again. Let me see. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I do remember this. Okay. Yeah, they're like fighting on that like pyramid. I'm gonna I completely forget what like landmark that is. Um, yeah, I would love to kind of read a book or a tell-all of like all the different iterations the script went through before the one we got. I mean, obviously, we know that if Tom Holland's Spider-Man showed up in Madam Web, I mean, that whole timeline would be a mess, right? Because it was like supposed to take place in like 2003. That Peter Parker would have like not even been born for the most of the events of that film, or maybe an infant. I don't even know. Um, but yeah, I think the concept art just makes it even more confusing. Like I said, I wish I could just see every iteration they went through of like what they thought the script was going to be originally, because they clearly went through a lot of brainstorming and just kind of throwing crap at the wall and seeing what's going to stick. Yeah, I mean the end product, I think it's like my second least favorite movie of the entire year. Don't watch Founders Day. It's even worse. The only Dragon Ball things I've seen are Dragon Ball Evolution and like 2 episodes of GT. Okay, I was told to skip GT because it's not even canon. Like it was kind of like a filler, not even in the manga story. Um, so I didn't watch that. I have not seen Dragon Ball Evolution. I was told to stay away from that, like at all costs. Don't go anywhere near that. Um, but Yeah, you should watch it, man. Like I said, I never got to be exposed to it when I was younger. I started during the pandemic just watching all of it rapid fire. I must have gotten through the original Dragon Ball and Z in like the first couple months of the pandemic when everyone was kind of locked away and watching stuff. Didn't watch Super for a while. Now I'm binging my way through that. It's really good. It's really fun. I mean, like, I'm so basic. Like, my favorite character is obviously Vegeta. I've got like the huge, mega sized Vegeta ape Funko that was like at Comic Con over there. It's like probably like one of my favorite bits of movie TV memorabilia that I own. And I love Krillin, not gonna lie, but or Z Krillin, I'll say that. OG and Z Krillin. But I suggest you watch it, man. I think it's worth it. I feel like anime can kind of be daunting a lot more than any other thing to consume because there's so many episodes of like every show. That's why I haven't really dived headfirst into One Piece because there's like 1,400 episodes. Um, but yeah, I mean, you should give it a shot at some point. Oh, my man Zach Attack Reviews is in the house with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, dude. You did not need to do that. If you can get one comic book adapted, which one? So, no idea if it's going to happen, but I will say the most comic books I've ever read from any select hero or group of heroes in my entire life has always been Daredevil, Spider Man, and Fantastic Four. Since we're getting that Fantastic Four movie, I don't know if we're gonna get it, but I love that one with like the Council of Reeds and everything. It's kind of a cool multiversal story too. I literally have like the hardcover of that whole graphic novel upstairs on my bookshelf. That would be an awesome one. Um, I'm not gonna hold out hope though. Like I feel like I want it so bad that if it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be bummed out when I should be giving the movie a fair shot. So we'll see. No, the one from 2004 with Nemesis. I don't even remember if I've seen that one actually. Like there are some of those ones. Like I didn't really watch the Mila Jovovich ones. I know some people like them. Maybe I'll give them a shot just 'cause I'm such a big fan of the games. Um, I know that guy Paul W.S. Anderson, not to be confused with Paul Thomas Anderson or whatever, Paul W. I don't remember whatever his name is. I know he's kind of hit or miss. Um, I really like Event Horizon from the 90s. I know it's kind of like a controversial horror movie, but I really dig that one. So maybe, I mean, maybe I'll like some of these Resident Evil ones. Maybe I'll check them out. I feel like the Fantastic Four movie was announced back in like 2016 and a female Silver Surfer was announced. Everyone would have been okay with it. I think it's the 2020s bias making people mad. Yeah, I don't know. I think people are just down on Marvel, somewhat rightfully so right now. I mean, it's not what it used to be, but then to expect that it would be is kind of unfair as well. So I'm kind of right in the middle there. But I don't know. Maybe you're right. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't hate the decision. Um, I don't hate the decision for a female Silver Surfer. I think Julia Garner's an interesting kind of crazy pick. But like I said, if they're going to go that wild with their casting choice, hopefully they know what they're doing. Oh man, where do you rank the Matt Reeves Planet of the Apes trilogy in the pantheon of great trilogies? It's my number one trilogy of all time. Yeah, that's a tough one, and I definitely got to go back and rewatch it, especially before Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes comes out in like a month, right? Um, it's up there. I think like for trilogies, obviously like the OG Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, those three Captain America movies. Maybe it would kind of fit in around there. Um, like the 4 or 5 spot, maybe. I mean, they're great. I was day one in the cinema for all of them, and so much fun. Great CGI, great mocap. I mean, it's Andy Serkis. The guy's a freak. He's more of an animal than he is human, and he rocks that role. And that guy from Black Mirror and Kong Skull Island. What's his name? Like Travis Kebble, Troy Kebble, whatever his name is, that does like the Koba motion cap. He did a great job too. Evolution is terrible. I watch it and regret it every second of it. Yeah, man. It doesn't look something like I mean, it does unfortunately become one of those movies where it's like it's so yeah, I'm being told it's so bad that it's hard to stay away. Like when you tell me something like really beat it over the head and just keep saying it's so bad, it does get me more interested. Like if I just thought it was bad, I'd be like, okay, I'm not going to watch it. But I do wonder a little bit why it's so awful. I'm gonna have to check it out. Don't hold it against me. When Madam Web was first announced, reports were the villain was trying to prevent Peter Parker's birth, which shows in the final film only the four girls could see the villain except Uncle Ben. I remember that. I remember that report. I also remember like another 20 reports. I don't know. The production of the movie was a mess. It's hard to know who to blame. Probably not the director. Like they were kind of just given a raw deal. But um, yeah, let's not do that again. I think the villain originally was out to kill Peter's mom, and the vision he was seeing was Peter Parker killing him. Yeah, I mean, and who knows? Maybe, I mean, you're probably right. So it was like all that concept art would have been in the future, right? Like not even really happening, which would have made sense for the timeline. So I guess they could have like made the same movie and just put in a couple Tom Holland scenes 20 years in the future of seeing him get killed. But that is not the route they decided to go, and probably better off for not bringing him into the mess. The Council of Reeds versus the Council of Kangs. I mean, dude, I'll take that. What a massive scale showdown that would be, right? I mean, that would be killer. I pray for Marvel's VFX artists with a scene like that, on the docket, but that would be killer. Would love to watch that. Would have loved to get a true Planet Hulk film. It's such a great story. Dude, I mean, I don't even care. I'd love to get any kind of solo Hulk story back in the mix. I think there's so much cool stuff you can do with him. And now we're getting like Red Hulk, and we've been told that we're never getting a solo Hulk movie with Mark Ruffalo. It kind of stinks. I mean, when you think about it, um, the Hulk we got in Thor Ragnarok was the last time that we got like a taste of him being like a crazy rage monster, which is exactly how I love watching, Hulk on screen. Ever since then, we've gotten like a super smart, middle of the road Hulk. So it's been all right. I mean, like I like Ruffalo, but I would love to see it go back to that Ragnarok vibe. I mean, feel like that was a good balance too, because we got him as a human and as Hulk in the same movie. So I don't know. I agree with you though. Planet Hulk film would have been nasty. Marvel vigilante with red black paintball suit, batons, and a skateboard. Who's super cool. I'm gonna look this up. Night Thrasher, huh? Let me look that up just so I can have it for later. That does look kind of cool. It's a cool suit. Kind of looks a little bit like a Daredevil vibe, though. I don't know. I don't know nothing about the character. I just saw someone kind of like draw him with batons. That made me think that. So, um, those Resident Evil films are awful, in my opinion, after the first two. The first is entertaining, but as someone also familiar with the games, the second best captured the feel and tone. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll give that one a watch. I don't know. It's low on the totem pole. But maybe I'll check it out at some point. Toby Kebbell, there we go. That's the name, not Troy. Also, Doctor Doom in the bad Fantastic Four movie. There are a couple of bad Fantastic Four movies, but I know which one you're referring to, which is too bad because, like I said, this guy is in one of the best, arguably the best episode of Black Mirror. It's called like The Memories of You or something like that. It's a killer episode. That's actually what I show people when I'm trying to get them into the series for the first time. And he's good in Skull Island, which is my favorite MonsterVerse movie. So sorry you were in that terrible Fantastic Four film, Toby Kebbell. Always blame Sony as a whole. They are terrible for the Spider-Man IP. Yeah, they're not very good with that. It's all just like a money-making scheme. Like, I don't know. I don't think anyone really wants these villain origin stories. I mean, it's the same pattern every time, right? It's like they take a villain that we want to see do bad stuff, and they're trying to set up the villain to hopefully eventually fight Spider-Man. I don't even know, but it's like they set up these villains and then they meet someone that's worse than themselves, so they become the hero of that story. Like I just want to see them be villains. Um, and I don't know if you can really do that. I don't know if they can handle a villain origin story where they actually do bad stuff. Um, but they are kind of fumbling the bag time after time. Perps in here. What's in here, man? Oh, what's in here? What's up here, man? Glad to have you here. Thanks for tuning in here. Literally just fumbled like every word there. Can you tell I'm tired? I wouldn't mind the MCU and these other franchises do some animated films instead. It would scale back budgets, help the VFX issues, and allow them to start making profits. Easier said than done. Yeah, what did we just? I mean, I think it'll be a big indicator if that can work or not. What is it like? In a couple months, we're getting that like animated Transformers movie with like a stacked voice cast. It's like Scarlett Johansson and Chris Hemsworth and a bunch of other people. It'll be interesting to see how that does. If that does decently well, then maybe we have an argument there. Or you know what? I think don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure there was just a report about an R-rated animated Venom project, which I'd be all for because I'm not a fan of the movies. Sorry, Tom Hardy. Not your fault, but sorry. But I think we are getting an animated R-rated Venom project. Don't quote me on it, but Night Thrasher is the most 90s hero ever. Well, if that's the case, then I want him. I want to see something with him. Like I said, I was looking at the suit, looks cool. Love the like Back to the Future hoverboard. What do you think is the most emotional moment in a series finale of a TV show? Oh man. I don't know if it was in the finale, but I remember there being some very messed up emotional moments in Chernobyl. I think that might be one of the best miniseries ever made. Um, so I'm gonna go with that. I'm sure I can think of others, but there's also like, even though it's a comedy, Scrubs crept up on me a bunch of times too. Like there's a lot of emotional parts during Scrubs. Like I said, I don't know about the finale, can't really remember, but both of those had some emotional stuff going on. Epilogue of Star Wars Rebels. I actually never saw Rebels, which I know is kind of surprising to some people. I know what happens, kind of, but never really seen it. Should I go both Monkey Man and the First Omen this weekend? I hope so. I've been watching so many movies. I'm seeing Sasquatch Sunset tomorrow night, that Jesse Eisenberg movie where they're fully in Sasquatch costume, no dialogue, the entire movie tomorrow. We'll see how that is. But yeah, I'm going to try. I have a busy weekend, but I'm going to try to see Monkey Man this weekend. First Omen, I might wait just to see how the reviews are because I remember seeing some not so great stuff about some of the other Omen films, but they're definitely both on my list. I mean, especially in a movie landscape where I've seen everything else pretty much. Might need to give those a watch. I definitely want to check out Monkey Man at the very least. DC makes great animated films, but I don't know if those movies make DC much money. Yeah, I have no idea what kind of revenue they cook up from those films. T, I feel like you would be the guy for me to ask this. You got to recommend like what are the top 3 favorite DC animated films? I like never was introduced to that when I was younger. Like I watched like Batman Beyond and the animated series and stuff, but like never really watched the movies. If you have a couple DC picks for animated movies that you think are gonna like blow me away, hit me and I'll check them out. Add them to the watch list because I saw like so many of them are on HBO Max, obviously because they own all the Warner Brothers stuff. If they're not going to do a Sinister Six, I think doing the opposite would work. Assembling anti-heroes from Spider-Man's universe as a team to help Spider-Man, the Spectacular Six. Yeah, I have no idea. I really don't know what's going to work with. I don't know what's going to work with the Spider-Man universe at this point. I feel like they're throwing so much stuff out there. I almost just want to go back to basics. Or, I mean, look, I don't think anyone would complain. I just want them to sell the character back to Marvel. That's never going to happen, especially because they'd have their tail between their legs after that terrible decision of not buying all the characters, where it was like, if you look it up, it's absolutely crazy. I think like back in the day, and I'm sure everyone knows this, they were like Sony was offered like Spider-Man for $4 million and like all of the Marvel characters for 6 million, and they were like, "We're good. We're just gonna take Spider-Man for 4." Like someone had to get fired over that decision because 30 years later they were missing out on like $1 trillion. But I don't know. The Office series finale is my favorite of all time, and The Good Place had a great finale. Never watched The Good Place. Heard good things. Like the cast. I mean, Ted Danson, Kristen Bell, right? Um, and I know it's kind of in that mockumentary Parks and Rec Office style, right? Yeah, I might check it out. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the Sasquatch movie. I will for sure never watch that. Yeah, I mean, I have a buddy like me. There is a buddy, me and him kind of get all into those experimental movies. Like, it's much less so compared to Sasquatch, but like something like Under the Skin or like, those movies that like don't 100% make sense on the surface. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like I love original ideas and kind of taking big creative swings for the fences. So if there's anyone that movie's going to work for, it probably is me and my friend that are going tomorrow. But I will definitely. I think the official release date is in like 2 weeks, so I'm probably going to drop my review a little bit closer to when it's released, or next week. I can't even remember, but yeah, you'll be hearing my thoughts about it very soon. I swear, if that AMC Unseen movie on the 8th is Sasquatch Sunset, I'm walking out. Yeah, I mean, definitely an acquired taste. I don't think it's going to be for everyone. And like I said, I haven't even seen it. Um, but I could see it not being for everybody. I don't need to see the movie to know that it's going to be very divisive among audiences. If anyone even goes to see it, it's going to be such like a small indie release anyway. Anyone saw a regular show? The last episode of that is tough. I actually haven't watched that. What time do you wake up and go to bed to do work in YouTube? I mean, well, I have a full-time job, obviously. So all my YouTube stuff happens outside of those hours. Um, I'm a super crazy night owl, like 2 a.m. 2 a.m. every night kind of deal. Um, I'm always just up watching movies, writing scripts, getting reviews ready, finding video clips. So, like, I will say, even though it's not like actively working on YouTube, there's a lot of my time, my free time consumed with just doing like stuff to prepare for YouTube. But I mean, I wake up like a little bit before 9 because work starts around then. And like I said, go to bed at like 2 a.m., which is probably terrible for my health. But I'm just such a night owl and it gives me opportunities to watch stuff and yada yada. All Star Superman and The Dark Knight Returns. Yeah, I mean, I have that. I have the Dark Knight Returns limited edition hardcover upstairs. Never watched the animated film of it though. I should definitely do that very soon. What about Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire? I watched that the week it came out. What was that? 2 weeks ago now. I thought it was all right. It was fine. I thought it relied too much on nostalgia, and there wasn't enough new stuff. The pacing wasn't great. I thought the ghost busting action we got was satisfying, and love seeing the old cast, but I think it didn't continue the momentum of Afterlife. I was very impressed with Afterlife, was not very impressed with Frozen Empire. The better Empire movie was Godzilla Kong. For me, the animation for those animated DC films is really hard on my eyes, so I avoid them. Not getting me too hyped up there, Travis, but I'm sure I'll be okay with it. What do you think is the darkest movie villain scheme? Uh, that's tough, man. I will say Prisoners from Denis Villeneuve is always on my mind. That's like a top 10 movie for me ever. I will say the whole kidnapping plot and stuff is very heavy, even though it's been done many times before. Um, or like, I don't know, like an Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. I mean, like he's kind of just a bounty hunter, but the way he goes about things is pretty dark and ruthless. So maybe those two. All Star Superman is my absolute favorite. Also, Flashpoint is really good. All right, I'm gonna make a note of these. I'm gonna have to check these out at some point because, like I said, I think they're all on Max because the whole WB thing. The guys in Pain and Gain. It's not a bad choice. I mean, it is a true story. I love that movie, by the way. Like sometimes people don't like when when I say I love that movie because it is based on like a horrific thing, and they kind of made it into like a pulpy comedy. But I'd be lying if I said that movie wasn't a massive guilty pleasure. Though Kristen Bell dying and going to the good place, aka heaven. Yeah, have not watched it. I do want to check it out though. What's your computer slash editing program setup, and what do you wish someone had told you before you started buying everything? I don't know. I will say, so I'm just like on a PC that I built. This is my second one that I built myself. I think it was like when I was so bored during the pandemic, I was like, I'm just gonna make like a budget hot rod build for like $700, see what I can piece together, and build the best PC for that. It was honestly for gaming. I hadn't started the channel yet. Then when I did start the channel, I'd be like exporting a 5-minute video and it would take like 45 minutes. And then if I watched it back and noticed a mistake, that's another 45 minutes. So I was like, okay. So I saved up a bunch of cash to kind of put towards a new PC, built an absolute beast of a PC that I'm using now. Absolutely love it. Has all the bells and whistles, great graphics card. It's running like an i11 Intel chip or something crazy. I got to remember, I haven't opened it up and kind of messed with it for a while because I really beefed it up to the point that it doesn't really need tinkering with right now. But um, and what do I wish someone had told me before I started buying everything? I don't know. Maybe that like, it's going to take you a little extra time to build your own PC, but it's worth it and it's a lot cheaper. You look at all of those sites now and it costs a lot more cash for less impressive components. So I would say if you're someone that wants to kind of build their own PC to do video editing and gaming and all that, build it yourself, watch some YouTube guides. That's how I did it step by step both times. Never had an issue. Everything turned on and worked. So yeah, do it yourself. And it's super satisfying. It's basically like an adult Lego. I feel like the best way to resolve the Sony verse is to have all the characters appear in animated form during Beyond Spider-Verse, helping in the final battle, then maybe set up the animated Venom. That's not a bad idea, right? Like get casual audiences more familiar with them if there's anyone funky involved and you know, I don't know, just get more attachment and visibility on them. That's not a bad idea. I kind of like that. I have no idea how well it would translate. I mean, this is just me as a not casual fan that would know all these characters, whoever they threw at us. So my opinion doesn't really apply here, but I would be curious to see how casual audiences would react to that. The View with Drew is in the house, everybody. Thank you for joining, buddy. Appreciate it. Excellent news. My channel's at 875 subscribers. Dude, that is awesome. Final push to 1,000. I'm sure you'll get there very soon. Dark Room Reviews dropping the super sticker here. Thank you very much. You did not have to do that. That's too kind. Very happy to have you here. Pain and Gain is so underrated. Dude, I really think it's like my favorite Michael Bay movie. Yeah, I mean, it rocks. It's very stylish, very funny, very pulpy, entertaining. Everyone I've made watch that movie, it's ended and they've been like, okay, yeah, like that was an absolute blast. Very underrated. Started a comic book collection, DC and Marvel stuff mostly. How big's the collection looking now? I kind of was on a tear there for a little bit, kind of collecting um, like hardcover graphic novels. So I've got a bunch upstairs. I don't really have any loose, paper comics, but I do the ones that I do love. I have in hardcover, which always looks cool on the shelf. Favorite adult cartoon? I don't know, like Rick and Morty, Invincible, Solar Opposites. What other? Oh my god, what was that one? It was just all right, but it was very entertaining. That one with Aubrey Plaza where she like makes a deal with the devil. What was that one? Let me see if I can find that. This is gonna bug me. Little Demon. Yeah, I did enjoy that one because I saw that recently. Thought that was pretty funny. Um, what's a comic book film that you like that everyone else says sucks? Howard the Duck, Spider-Man 3, Iron Man 3, and X-Men Origins for me. I don't know if people say it sucked, but I think a lot more than other people, I really, really like the Wolverine, the James Mangold Wolverine movie. I think that setting is cool. There's some cool like samurai battles, and that train fight sequence is pretty awesome. It's like if Wolverine, you took Wolverine and plopped him into that train fight from Mission Impossible 1. Um, so I'd say maybe the Wolverine. What other comic book movies that people say sucks? I don't know. Probably going with the Wolverine. I feel like I'm usually with the crowd, I think. If a movie is really bad and people think it's really bad, I think I usually agree. Um, but I'll go with the Wolverine from James Mangold because James Mangold's one of my favorite directors. We don't talk about Dial of Destiny. That movie doesn't even really exist in my eyes, but Mangold crushes it. Can't wait to see his Swamp Thing movie in DC. I think that is the perfect project for him. Um, so can't wait to see that. X-Men Origins, I'll die on this hill. I mean, you and Travis, apparently. You'll have a buddy on the hill at the very least, because that is not one that I enjoy. I think it gets so ridiculous, and I just cannot handle the way they depicted Deadpool in that movie. Like I don't know what the thought process was. Um, yeah, I'll never be able to understand it. If it was one of those things where Ryan Reynolds had to do it in that form just to get Deadpool introduced and become canon so he could eventually make his solo film, I'll forgive it for that much. But other than that, the movie I think is pretty abysmal. Um, but what do I know? I'm just one guy. So, I mean, the last two people in the chat have said they love it. So, you know, I'm already outnumbered. Actually, never mind. T agrees with me. So we're back to 2v2. But um, comic book film you think is overrated? For me, it's No Way Home, Batman 89, The Dark Knight, and Winter Soldier. Well, I definitely do not think The Winter Soldier is overrated. The Dark Knight might be a touch overrated. I still think it's incredible, but I think it's been getting, I don't know. I think it's almost too gassed up recently. Um, but I think The Winter Soldier might, I mean, that's my when I did my list before the Marvels came out of ranking all of the every single Marvel movie, I think The Winter Soldier is my number one. I think it's like that, Infinity War, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, I mean, like Winter Soldier, I think rocks. Dark Knight rocks. No Way Home, I have such a great cinema experience. Um, Batman 89, sure. I mean, like, I'm not that huge of an OG, the Keaton days. I will say that he was never really my favorite Batman, but so I'll give you that one. Um, comic book film that I think is overrated. I don't know. Um, I'd really have to think about that. But Yeah, put me on the spot there. I have to ponder it. Dark Phoenix is also one of the biggest swings and misses. Yes, 100%. And Apocalypse wasn't that great before it either. Winter Soldier overrated? No way. Winter Soldier is one of my favorite comic book movies. Yes, as it should be, T, as it should be. And it's my favorite solo MCU movie. Yeah, I think it's just my favorite MCU movie in general. I think when we're talking about comic book movies, it's like that and Spider-Man 2. Um, Logan is great too, that Drew's talking about. Of course, Logan is awesome. And again, my boy James Mangold knows what he's doing. Tell me if you agree. Logan's the best movie in the X-Men franchise and the best comic book movie of 2017. I would probably have to agree with that. I can't even remember what other comic book movies came out in 2017, but I'd have to believe that Logan is at the top of that bunch. Underrated action movie. Um, I'll say this. In recent years, um, I really love look, I already at the beginning talked about how much I'm a big Jason Statham guy. I really love the first Meg movie. I think the first Meg movie is awesome. I think every other shark movie other than Jaws hasn't really been able to like wow me in that genre. They're kind of always crap. I like Deep Blue Sea with Samuel L. Jackson and Thomas Jane. I think that's a good addition to the genre. But I think the Meg is kind of the perfect combination of like blockbuster summer fun. It's got some horror elements, got some insanely over the top, ridiculous Jason Statham action. I'm like a total defender of that film. The second one, get out of here. No way. Um, do not like that one at all. But I will say for an underrated action movie, I might say The Meg. I also might say Live Free or Die Hard. I was kind of revisiting that one not that long ago. I think that's a cool 21st century spin on the John McClane character. And there were some pretty memorable action sequences from that movie when it comes to that franchise, of the Die Hard franchise. Saw Batman 89 in the theater 8 times as a kid. My God, T. I don't think I've ever seen anything 8 times in the theater. I think I saw Top Gun Maverick 4 or 5 times, but you got me beat. Logan was amazing. Yes, Logan was amazing, is amazing, will continue to be amazing. In fairness, Civil War is probably in my top 3 MCU films. Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I really think, you think it's overrated, but Winter Soldier, Civil War, First Avenger, I really think that might be the best MCU heroes trilogy. Um, you won't hear me complaining if everyone says Cap has the best one. Spider-Man Homecoming is slightly overrated. I don't know. I think it's properly rated. I don't love it. I think it's good. It's a good intro to the character. I like that they didn't show Peter Parker getting bit by a spider for the 11th time. Um, Michael Keaton as Vulture is pretty cool. And that scene between the two of them where in the car where he kind of figures it out and has that one-on-one with Peter before prom is a awesome scene. And you get that cool like dynamic duo of him and Iron Man. So I think it's properly rated. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. So unless people are saying it's great, I think it's rated properly. The Raid Redemption is the most underrated action movie. Yeah, I mean, if it's still underrated, I agree with you, T. I mean, everyone that's a fan of the genre should watch that film. I mean, that is such a powerhouse. That's a buzzsaw of an action movie. Absolutely love it. Was pretty much wowed the first time I saw it. A buddy showed it to me at his house, and I like didn't even really know what it was. Um, yeah, that's a crazy movie, man. That's a really crazy movie. Other comic book movies that came out in 2017 were Thor Ragnarok, Spider-Man Homecoming, Wonder Woman, Guardians 2, and Justice League. I don't know. I really like Thor Ragnarok. Logan's probably a touch better because it was just like so unique and did something really new with the character. But even as I'm saying that, they did something new with Thor and Ragnarok and like actually let Chris Hemsworth be funny and turned Thor from a bottom of the barrel character for me into being one of my favorites in the MCU. So I don't know. Might be a tie. Might be a wash there for me. First Blood, The Fast and the Furious original, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Pineapple Express are a few. Yeah, those are all solid choices. I had to watch The Fast and the Furious original a few months ago or whatever when Fast X came out, and I was doing a ranking for the franchise, and it's good, man. I mean, I think it's like other than Fast Five, it's like Fast Five and then like Fast Seven in the original right below it. Die Hard with a Vengeance is underrated as well. I can't even remember the last time I watched it. I have to actually just revisit all of the Die Hard movies very soon. Well, I like Logan. I prefer Homecoming and Guardians 2 over it. Okay, that might be a hot take for me. I think Logan probably clears Homecoming and Guardians 2. I do think Guardians 2 gets a lot of hate, or just isn't as popular as I think it should be. Still a really good entry. It had a lot of like big father family story associated with it, which I thought was pretty cool, but it's definitely viewed as like the black sheep of the Guardians trilogy. But I think Logan, for me personally, Logan's better than those two. I enjoy Spider-Man Homecoming, but when people say it's top 10 or 5 MCU, I just don't agree. Yeah, I agree. Let me remind myself where it is in my ranking here. Pulling it up. MCU. Wherever it is, MCU ranking. I have Spider-Man Homecoming at 14 out of 33. So yeah, in that regard, if it's top 10 or top 5, then I personally do think it's overrated. Popping the popcorn is here. What is going on? Thank you for joining in on the chat here. Happy to have you. What's your pick for a horror movie that was surprisingly good? One that I didn't think was going to be good and was good. Maybe Barbarian. A couple years ago, that might be everyone's pick for that question, but I loved Barbarian. I think Justin Long was great in that. Bill Skarsgård, what's her name? Georgina Campbell. That's a killer movie, and I can't wait to see. I think that guy's doing his directorial follow-up with Pedro Pascal or something, so that'll be cool. The 8-year anniversary of Furious 7 hitting theaters on April 3rd. I can't tell if I feel like it should be longer ago or more recent, but that is crazy. 8 years. And now we have the 11th one coming out. I guess the 12th in the franchise if you count Hobbs and Shaw being in the mix there. The fight between Spider-Man and Vulture was really weak. Yeah, I mean, it was like in heavy darkness too, if I'm remembering correctly. So it was like kind of hard to see what was going on. I didn't mind it. I find it entertaining. It's an entertaining Spider-Man movie. Like I said, it's like top 15 for me in the overall MCU rankings as a whole. Michael Keaton elevated Homecoming from okay to really good. Yeah, I think so many Marvel movies kind of mesh together at some point that what sticks out is a great villain. And I think Keaton did a very good job of kind of bringing something new to the table and a formidable foe, and kind of added some spice to that movie. So yeah, I think he did a really good job there. Homecoming is great, but probably the weakest final battle of the Spider-Man films. Yeah, probably. Barbarian was a good one. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Was so happy I saw that one with a packed crowd. Jason Goes to Hell for the first time recently, thinking I'd hate it, but it's actually my favorite of the franchise. Yeah, what is it? I think Jason Lives is my favorite. I also really dig the 2013 or 2009 remake? I always forget what year that came out. I think it was 2009 or something. But yeah, I also have a soft spot for Jason Goes to Manhattan. I don't care how bad it is. It's just kind of fun to watch. When he actually gets to New York, It's fun, even though that's a very fleeting amount of the film. How would you rank the comic book movies of 2015? For me, I'd go Kingsman: Secret Service, Ant-Man, Age of Ultron, Fantastic. Yeah, I think that exact ranking. And there'd be a s- a big gap between 3 and 4, most likely. Ant-Man, I think, is sneakily one of the best to the MCU. It's probably like a top 10, maybe like number 11 movie for me in the MCU. Really enjoy it. Uh, Kingsman rocks. You know, that first movie is so much fun. Kind of made Taron Egerton a star. Um, so much style. And we basically got Colin Firth playing an edgy, swearing version of James Bond. So that was cool. I mean, that church sequence is unmatched. Really hate to see what has happened to Matthew Vaughn since then, because Argyle was not it. Michael Keaton as Vulture is a good villain, but I feel he's not as good as Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin, or Alfred Molina, Doc Ock. Oh, I mean, yeah, if you compare it to those two, then I agree with you. I mean, you're listing the two Spider-Man GOAT villains, right? Like, I mean, I've honestly watched Spider-Man 1 more than I watched Spider-Man 2, even though I think Spider-Man 2 is probably the superior comic book film. But I watched so much of Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin growing up, and that performance is seared into my brain. He makes a meal out of that role. Jason Goes to Manhattan is my favorite team. My man. There we go. Not my favorite, but it is a pretty ridiculous and entertaining watch. I mean, that boxing match on the like top of the apartment building, ridiculous, but I'm glad it exists. From New York, so of course it's my favorite. I mean, hey, you got to rep it, you know, make sense. Manhattan is a hot take. I do love how Jason becomes kind of an anti-hero once he gets to New York. Yeah, with like all the bad stuff going on in New York. Um, yeah, it was ridiculous. Another hot take in Coming Age of Ultron was good, but slightly disappointing. Ultron was wasted. Yeah, I mean, I wish Ultron stayed around. I do think Age of Ultron's the worst Avengers film. Um, Not to say it's bad, but yeah, I think it is the weakest Avengers movie that we've gotten so far. Zach Millen is in the house here, ladies and gentlemen. Very happy to have you here. How's it going? What was the April Fool's prank or false headline that got you? Oh, I don't remember. I think I went in so skeptical this year that I didn't really buy into anything. Like, I think the first headline I saw waking up was the most insanely ridiculous thing I've ever read, to the point that it like got me in the April Fool's mindset. So like I don't even know. There could have been a ton of real news that came out that day and I just wouldn't have believed it. So I think it had the opposite effect. I didn't believe anything. I have to think about it though. I'm sure I have something saved in my Twitter bookmarks of something that that got me a little bit. Ant-Man is great, and Darren Cross slash Yellowjacket is actually an underrated villain, I think. Yeah, no, I like him, and I like Corey Stahl, the actor that plays him. Um, I think he's an underrated actor, so I like seeing him do stuff like that. And I think you're right, that was an underrated villain. Him in Quantumania, different story, but in the first Ant-Man, yes. Which comic book movie villain do you like more, Tom Hardy as Bane or James Spader as Ultron? Mm, I'd say Tom Hardy is Bane, but James Spader as Ultron had more potential that they didn't use. Like we just talked about, I think Ultron was a little bit of a letdown in Age of Ultron. So I'll say, as in the current state of things, in the way that we got everything, Bane. But I think Ultron could have improved more and taken the crown there. Spider-Man 2002 is my ultimate comfort movie, dude. I'm right there with you. Even though I think 2 is probably better by all standards, 1 is just so good. There's so many classic scenes. Absolutely love it. I mean, the wrestling match part where he starts to get his powers, him with the fight with Flash when he starts kind of seeing his spidey senses kick in, and the first time we get him to don the suit. I mean, there's so much that rocks in that movie. Goes to Hell, Jason Lives, New Beginning, remake, then Manhattan. Okay. That's a fair take. That's a fair take. I don't love Goes to Hell, but I mean, like, I mean, don't even listen to me because I get a lot of enjoyment out of X. And a lot of people think that that's like, I should never be allowed to speak on a movie ever again if I enjoy X, but it's a lot of fun. It has some of the best kills in the franchise. Like when he dips the woman in liquid nitrogen, like that's one of the most brutal kills Jason's ever done. Tell me I'm wrong. People on Facebook posting the Goonies sequel poster like it was real. Yeah, I mean, they're probably too old for all that now, right? But hope you didn't buy into it, T. Which superhero movie trilogy do you like more? The Solo Wolverine trilogy or the Iron Man trilogy? I think Wolverine because each movie gets better after Origins Wolverine, I'm assuming is what you're saying. I might, I don't know, man. I might just say Wolverine. I don't think either of them rock. I mean, they both have their moments. Iron Man 1 obviously is awesome and it started it all for the MCU, but 2 and 3 aren't great. Iron Man is like the pivotal MCU character. I mean, I'm a Captain America guy, but Iron Man is arguably the pivotal MCU character, and he might have one of the worst solo trilogies. So I'll probably give it to Wolverine, even if Origins is in there, because the Wolverine and Logan are both, like I said, I'm a truther for the Wolverine, and of course, Logan is great. Quantumania ruined it all. Yeah, for the Yellow Jacket character, definitely. For Darren Cross, I did not like that Modoc vision. We'll say. I don't know. Nothing else to say on that. It wasn't great. What was the biggest movie franchise mistake? I don't know. For them to make more than two. I mean, I know money talks, but to make more than two Pirates of the Caribbean movies, maybe. And that might just me because saying that because I absolutely adore the first two films. I still think Dead Man's Chest with Bill Nye as or Bill Nye. I don't even know how you say that. Not Bill Nye. That's Bill Nye, the science guy, but you know what I'm saying. Um, him as Davy Jones, I still think today might have the most seamless integration of CGI I've ever seen in my entire life. That was unbelievable. Still to this day, it looks better than the vast majority of big blockbuster films. Last Jedi was the biggest franchise mistake ever. Okay, but here's the question, T, because I have a ranking coming out soon on May the 4th be with you. I think I'm going to try to pull it off. If Last Jedi made the mistake, do you like Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker more? Like, did Rise of Skywalker do the best it could and play it safe with the mistakes that Last Jedi made, or do you hate it more because it just didn't try to rectify anything? I constantly going back and forth in my head about whether Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker is the worst Star Wars film. I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch. Unfortunately, watch them both again to figure that out. When Darren goes to Hank's house and asks what he saw in him, is such a great scene. Kind of sets up his redemption later, even if the execution wasn't great. Yeah, I'll buy that. I'll buy into that. I think that's correct. Spoiler King's in the house with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, dude. You're too kind. You did not have to do that. He says, dropping in to say hi. One question. You saw the fake Dogma remastered post, but if it really happens, how popular will it sell? It's one of my favorite movies. So I will say, even though I'm a Boston guy, so I love Matt Damon, I love Ben Affleck, who I'm 99% sure are in that film from Kevin Smith. I have not seen it. I need to watch it. I'm intrigued because honestly, one of the reasons that like April Fool's, I don't even know the April Fool's post. Is that what that was? He kind of tricked people, which I think is kind of mean because it seems like a lot of people want access to a remastered version of that movie. But seeing how many people were bummed about it, I think added even more to my curiosity, being like, all right, maybe I should give this a watch. It is on my watch list. I haven't checked it out, but I don't know. I think when you get like a niche, almost cult title like that remastered, I think they sell pretty well, even for people that haven't like seen it and stuff, just because they're curious. So I don't know. I do hope that they're not completely being mean spirited and that it means that you know, he was gauging excitement maybe, and now that after all this, he might do it for real. Who knows? But I hope for your sake. I do got to watch it though, and really appreciate that super chat. Thank you so much again, Spoiler Kings. The hot take guy tonight is right, dude. You keep firing them off. Really like The Last Jedi. I I think I might say that it's better than The Rise of Skywalker just because it attempted to do something different and didn't kind of just stay to the mold of the original story like Force Awakens did, but I think that's where my positives end. I don't know. Wolverine 2013 is underrated. I'm with you, dude. I trust me. I think that movie's killer. Killing Jigsaw was a terrible franchise mistake. Yeah, I think so, but I don't know if they just thought like Tobin Bell was winding down with the role or whatever, and then he proved that he still got some in the tank clearly because Saw X was one of the most fun of the franchise. But yeah, I'll agree. If they kind of just did it because they didn't know what else to do, that was definitely a dumb mistake for the franchise. What's the worst movie from 2009? I think Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Um, I need to rewatch that one, but I think you're not wrong. I remember not being a huge fan of that one. And I'm someone that likes controversial Halloween movies. Like Halloween Ends is very high up my ranking of the franchise. So don't listen to me if you already think I'm crazy after hearing that. But yeah, no, I don't think that's a crazy hot take. One of the biggest movie mistakes is Secret Invasion. Not a film, but what it does to storylines set up in the films to Rhodey, Hill, Fury, Gravik, so on. Yeah, I think it's a fair take. Not a lot of good came out of that show. Oh boy, T's coming in here, getting me hyped up now. One of the best Kevin Smith films, if not the best. Yeah, I mean, I got to make sure I have this on my watch list because if it's not, this is a problem. Dogma. Let me get it on here. It's on my watch list. Okay. And isn't this one of those films that's like pretty hard to track down? Like I think I read that it's like not it's not streaming anywhere. It's like not really on physical media. So I'll have to track it down by any means necessary here. Kevin Smith can't do anything with Dogma because Harvey Weinstein owns the rights. Oh, really sucks, and he won't give it up either. But Dogma is a must watch. It's really good. I did not know that. That's interesting. Okay, so he legally can't do it. Damn, that's Harvey Weinstein's still out there screwing stuff up. That is brutal. Um, yeah, did not know that. Love Dogma. Go Clerks, Clerks 2, Dogma, Mallrats, then Strikes Back. I do like Mallrats, Clerks, and Strikes Back. I mean, I had a lot of fun with Strikes Back. My buddy showed me that like a decade ago, and I got a real kick out of it. But might need to watch that again just because there's endless cameos that are pretty funny in that movie. So, I mean, there was like a George Carlin, Will Ferrell, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Can't even remember who else, but I remember there's some funny cameos in there that is definitely worth checking out again. I got to watch that. So I'm seeing that is the end. We've reached the bottom of the chat. And I really appreciate you guys that have been absolutely firing off all the questions and comments and everything. It is getting to the point where I need to call it for the night. Unfortunately, I wish I could keep going for a while longer, but this was a great live stream. I haven't done them in a while, so I really appreciate you guys coming out. I mean, every time I do one of these and you guys ask so many questions and are talking amongst yourselves so much, it really reminds me like, why am I not doing these more often? So I promise I will try to get into some kind of a cadence. I will start doing them again because I have a blast doing them. And, who better to talk movies with rapid fire than all of you guys? Because this community we've built has been awesome. So take care, everyone. Like I said, next week I'll have reviews, I think, for Challengers and Sasquatch Sunset, if you're into that. So be on the lookout for that. Check out my MonsterVerse ranking if you haven't seen that yet. There's some hot takes in there, I will say. Um, but thank you to everyone being in here. I will talk to you all soon. I promise we'll get another one of these scheduled on the books. It will not take me 6 months again like it did this time. I will see you guys all soon. Go watch a movie. See you later.